guys! Welcome back to my channel, and this week we are kind of wrapping up our body type series. We have one type left to go over, and that is the classic type. I will be doing kind of a sort of a conclusion to this series, conclusion video. I'm hoping to release that on Sunday for you guys, just to give you sort of an idea of how to use the system now that you kind of have an idea of what all it entails. But for today, I want to conclude the types by going over the classic type for you guys. Now, the classic is a pure balance between yin and yang. It means it is perfectly balanced between masculine and feminine traits, between soft and straight, between organic and like the straight structured lines. And for this type, we do have two subcategories. There is the dramatic classic, which is a classic type that borrows a yang undercurrent from the dramatic type, and there is the soft classic, which borrows a yin undercurrent from the romantic type. The classic's bone structure is very symmetrical. Everything is going to be just very evenly balanced. There's not going to be any extremes with a classic. They're going to have a tiny bit of the sharpness to their features, but they're also not going to be extremely sharp. They are generally going to have tapered shoulders, they're going to have medium-sized hands and feet, and they're also generally going to have about medium-sized arms and legs as well. The dramatic classic is going to have this same symmetrical aspects to their bone structure. However, their bone structure is going to be a little bit sharper and a little bit more angular because of that yang undercurrent that they borrow from the dramatic type. They are going to have narrower shoulders. They're going to have longer limbs. Their bone structure is going to be straight, a little bit wider. They have hands and feet that are going to be on the wider side as well. They are also going to have sharper facial contours than a traditional classic. The soft classic is going to also possess the symmetricalness to their bone structure. They're going to have a little bit more of the softness to their structure though. They're not going to have a lot of sharp angular features. They're going to have more of a tapered shoulders. They're going to generally have a little bit more of a delicate bone structure. Their edges of their bones are not going to be square, but they're going to be more soft. And they're also going to generally have smaller hands and feet. The classics generally fall into the moderate height range. The typical classic is not going to be any taller than around 5 feet and 7 inches, and this is also true of the dramatic classic as well. The soft classic is going to tend to be a tiny bit shorter. They usually don't get up in past 5 feet 6 inches, but they are still going to generally be in that moderate range, maybe slightly shorter than the other two. The classic's body is going to be very, very evenly proportioned. There are not going to be any extremes with the classic like there are with the dramatic type or like the Ghanaian type. Their body is just going to be very symmetrical in every sense, whether it comes to their torso and their leg proportions. They're generally going to have more of a toned appearance. They're not going to be extremely like skinny, or they're not going to be extremely curvy like the romantic types. They're typically going to have around moderate to long limbs. The dramatic classic is going to be a little bit more on the trim side, and they're going to have a little bit more of that long length to their bodies, and they're also going to have a little bit more of the sharpness to their body, but it's not going to be extreme. The dramatic classics are going to be straight in the bust and hip and the waist area. There's not going to be a lot of definition for a dramatic classic in those areas. Now, the soft classic is the opposite. They're going to be a little bit more slightly defined in the bust, hip, and waist area. They're going to be a little bit more fleshy in the arm and thighs, and they're generally going to have a fleshier hands and feet as well. Their arms and legs are going to typically be between the moderate and short range. The classic's facial types is very symmetrical. There's just no extremes when it comes to a classic's facial features. Everything is just going to be extremely symmetrical, extremely balanced. They're not going to have, extreme cheekbones or really huge eyes or really tiny lips. Everything is just going to be well proportioned. The dramatic classics are going to have a little bit larger eyes, but they're also going to possess the symmetry that a classic has. They might have slightly sharper facial features, but it's definitely not going to be as sharp as like a full-blown dramatic type or anything like that. The soft classic also is going to have the symmetry to their face, but they're going to have a little bit softer features. They're going to have softer cheeks, they're going to have larger eyes, and generally fuller lips, but everything is still going to be very well balanced and proportionate. Classic types are all about balance. There's no extremes when it comes to a classic type. So some key words to keep in mind if you are a classic type and you are thinking about some words to match your style, your body energy, would be elegant, traditional, classy, symmetrical, balanced, very clean, and also very refined. Classics definitely want to keep things balanced. They are going to want to look for pieces that are well tailored to their figure. You want to keep your pieces elegant and timeless. You're going to want to look for pieces that are quality as a classic type. You are the types that may want to have fewer items in your closet. However, you would have potentially more pricey items or say designer items in your closet, and you would be able to match those with a lot of different pieces. Just have very versatile, timeless pieces like a very nice fitting tailored white collared shirt, or a really nice black blazer, a really great pencil skirt, also picking colors that are going to be versatile. You're going to want to stick with minimal jewelry. You want to pick jewelry that's kind of more on the elegant side, jewelry that's not cheap but it's good quality and that has a refined sort of feeling to it. Kind of the stereotypical French style is going to look really, really great on a classic type just because it's minimal, it's clean, it's very elegant looking. It's usually very well tailored, and so looking for pieces that kind of fit in that style are going to go really great with a classic type. Some things to avoid as a classic are extremes. Your body is very well balanced and proportioned, and so you're going to want to generally avoid things that fall into the like extreme edgy category or the like super girly, not like womanly but girly sort of feel. Like the gamine type style is not something that's really for you. You don't want to pick colors that are going to be extremely bold and bright. You can do really nice bright colors, but not in the sense of like neon colors. Anything that screams like flashy or gaudy, you want to avoid. Definitely just anything of that nature. Anything that's super flashy, like sequins all over and then sparkles all over, super huge jewelry, anything that's really chunky. You definitely want to avoid pieces that are really cheaply made or at least look like they're cheaply made. You also probably want to avoid fad items and stick with pieces that are more classic and timeless. You also want to avoid things that are either super skin tight or anything that's super baggy and flowing like a bohemian type style. That's basically all I have on the classic type, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this series. Have a really great weekend, and I will catch you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.